Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we're sitting down with Christopher Patterson, a tour manager for Wondaland Records, discussing his life on the road, benefits of interning in the music industry, and building relationships in the music business. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and I'm excited to sit down with Christopher Patterson. He's a manager and tour manager working with Wondaland.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you actually have your own company that you work with as well. I just want to give people, I guess, like a background of who you are if they may not know, because you are really hard to find on the internet.
Yeah, I just manage music. I try to make artists better. I try to make their touring situation better. I try to manage energy. So I manage music and energy. That's what I do.
That's interesting. Energy. Let's talk about it. What do you mean by you manage energy?
Have you had a tour manager on this before?
No, you're our first, actually, and that's why I was excited to have you on.
Okay, so let's think about it. Like, imagine 60 days straight sharing a bus where you have to sleep and eat and live with 12 people.
Yeah.
And then you have an artist who has to put on that 60-day window 30 to 40 shows. Mm. And they have to do press. And you have to do the same thing in and out every single day. That takes a certain level of patience and energy management. You have a lot of egos, you have a lot of personalities, you have a lot of people who live differently. Some people are messier than others.
That's true.
Some people smell bad. Some people, it's just a lot of different things to handle. So beyond the numbers and the accounting and the budgeting and the load ins and the load outs and pushing boxes and yelling at people that you've never met and bribing people that you've never met. Not really bribing, that's a bad word. Beyond all those things, you have to manage energy. It's your, I feel like a doula. I don't know. Isn't that what they do? I feel like, yeah.
It's kind of.
Yeah, it's like, you have to manage that situation. You have to make sure everybody's okay. Everything is okay. Everything feels good.
Yeah.
Keeping the energy high, keeping the cheese in check.
That's dope. I appreciate energy. That's why I asked.
Mm-hmm. Keep a little sage.
Got to. Sage it. Talk about it. We trying to tell these folks. All right, so you're not actually from Atlanta, but you've pretty much been here for a while.
10 years.
10 years, oh wow. You're from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to school in the DMV, so I can appreciate
where?
that. Howard in D.C.
Okay, I've heard of them.
You've heard of us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess that's coming from a Morehouse grad. I'll give you that.
Howard's first two black presidents were Morehouse graduates. I just want to let everybody know.
Okay,
that.
thank you. I don't know if they probably could have Googled that, but thanks for.
Well, everything's hard to find online, so I just want.
Especially you. Let's talk about it. But no. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and I guess your roots in music, because I feel like there has to be some sort of roots for most music people or music industry people.
Yeah, I am from a small country town, like really small. But I played music growing up. Like I played horns. I still play to this day.
What's up?
Yeah, so I played a lot of instruments. I fell in love with music early. I taught myself a little piano, and I kind of just grew into it. When I got to school, when I got to Atlanta, I kind of made that decision of whether I wanted to perform or whether I wanted to learn the business. And I have a friend who does the exact same things as me. He's a bass vocalist. He's a trombonist. He's a pianist. And he took that route. I saw the 8 hours of day practicing, the lock-ins and the kind of path that he took. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that.
Right.
That's a lot going on. So, yeah, musician first, though.
Musician first. So do you ever, miss it? In terms of, just doing that, being on the performance side of things versus
No,
business?
I'll do studio stuff here and there.
Cool.
I've played on a few records, and I practice in my own time.
Dope.
So I don't miss it. I touch it enough to keep it under my fingers.
Right. That's what's up. So tell me about your decision to study at Morehouse. Did you study music business? Do y'all have a program for that?
Don't have a music business program. I was going to be an entertainment lawyer, so I started as poli-sci.
Gotcha.
I was like, nah. So I majored in philosophy with a minor in music. So I did a little performing, a little playing, but a lot of the, I guess, music education and music business came outside of Morehouse.
Right.
My internships were with people who understood the industry. Like my first internship out of in college was at CSAC, so I learned music publishing. I worked with Marvelous Marvin for a little bit. He taught me the importance of touring and performance. Mitch Martin, who's now at BMI, was a mentor, and I worked under him while he was the A&R for Janelle. He also had a restaurant that he was handling all the talent management for Sweet George's Juke Joint downtown. So I worked under him. So everything that I was learning came from outside sources. It wasn't just at the school. And it was a lot of just trying stuff. Like in school, I was like managing artists or putting together events, just trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. And putting on events like shows? Or...
Shows, concerts, like little meet and greets for an artist I was managing at the time. One of the artists here who just won the 32 bar challenge or something like that, I used to manage him, Naj Murph.
Yeah.
That's my man. So that's my guy. So,
like
and when we were in school together, like we were working together on music and directly after school. So I was always trying to understand by falling on my face, trying out new things. I interned with Wondaland, which I ended up sticking with them after college. And that's been a great experience. Like all praise to Janelle Monáe, just taking a chance and, taking a little boy from the country and letting him see the world a little bit.
That's what's up. I have followed Wondaland and Janelle's career from, I think, the culmination of it, just the very, very beginning, and I think it's amazing to see how far you guys have gone. But I do want to stay into the internship experience for you before we get into that, because I know you probably had some amazing and interesting experiences just being in the tour life and management. But talk about your internships and I guess why you feel like it benefit, or how does interning benefit you in the long run? Obviously for you, you're working with somebody.
Can we curse on this?
Yeah, curse.
I've seen a lot of people bitching about paid internships, and I'm like, nobody's gonna pay you to fuck their shit up.
That's true.
And as simple as that, it's I'm giving you the insight and the ability to learn something that you don't know how to do. I'm not going to pay you for some shit that you don't know how to do. If I want to pay somebody, I would pay somebody who's already done it.
Right.
So I think it's just being in the room, being in the space, having people that are accessible to you that wouldn't be accessible on a regular day. Yeah. That's the importance of internship. Does it, is everything going to be easy? Is everything going to be fun? Probably not. But you're not there for that. You're not there to have fun. I don't think anybody who's going to excel in their industry is always going to have fun, or it's always going to be easy for them. That's not the point. So you intern to learn. It's not going to be paid. You'll be okay. You intern to get better. You intern to have the experience that somebody else didn't have. You intern to get a step above somebody else who didn't have. You intern to get those contacts and interactions that other people won't get.
Right. I mean, I think that also in terms of interning, the whole idea about paid internships is that, well, obviously someone sparked that by suing and things like that for larger corporations and companies. Because even for me in radio, when I interned the second time in radio, I wasn't getting paid, and I was just yay, but I didn't know that I wasn't expecting that in return. But they have to, essentially because of people's dismay of what they're doing, I guess, in terms of their internship. But I wanted to ask, even once you got into the industry in terms of pay, what were you expecting? When you're landing your very first job in the industry, were you expecting to be paid? Because I know for me, just coming into the music industry, I didn't get a lump sum, or even still, I'm not getting paid a ton of money to do what it is that I really enjoy doing. But it's do you pick pay over passion?
And that's a personal decision that people have to make. Everybody's parents aren't going to be happy with them picking passion over pay.
Right.
Everyone's families and, their peers, they'll look around and be like, oh, they're doing this and they have this. That's cool and all, but it's this is where I wanted to be. So I don't know. Early on, the pay wasn't great, everything. And it's still hustling. It's a constant hustle. I think, working for an artist or managing an artist is you're that artist assistant. And they only being by their side like you kind of not dictate, but you help them go as far as they can. So if you only eat what you kill. Let me say it like that. You only eat what you kill. So people that are expecting this big amount of money for stuff that they're not doing, it's like, well, do the work that's going to get you your percentage, or do the work that's going to get you the number that you expect to have.
That's true.
So
that's all you can do, right?
Right.
So you went on to tour with Janelle Monáe and Roman John Arthur, excuse me. Tell us a little bit about the experience there, because that's like directly after school for you, right?
Yep, directly after school, I'm on the road with Roman, and matter of fact, it wasn't even directly. It was my last semester during spring break, and we kind of took a little extra time off of school. But me and a couple of the guys that we were interning with at Wondaland, it's like we got a Sprinter, and we figured out how to tour for the first time, and it was just like, all right, Roman has these shows, go. And I was like, I don't know. I think we flew Spirit Airlines. It was bad. Everything was bad. No, it was a really good experience to have. I think it was a good growing point for me, and it kind of showed the guys who we were with on the road, is this something that you want to do? Is this not? Do you like being at home? And, you know, some people don't like the road. Some people don't like that kind of lifestyle. It's different. Like, you know, when you're used to, not routine, but being in your comfort space. Everybody can't handle the road. Right after college, again, like I said, I was a musician in school, so there was a opportunity on the table to go play in Egypt for the opening of some resort. And they were like, yeah, everything's all included. Just stay on the resort. You just play every day. You get paid. You get drunk. Cool. And
Sounds fun.
Yeah. And the other opportunity was Janelle's doing a European tour. Come on as a production assistant. Cool. I went with Janelle because I already had the relationship with them, and it was Europe.
Right.
Like, I've yet to go to Egypt, but it's like, oh, here's a European tour. Here's something I want to see. Here's something I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's good that you had those opportunities that were presented to you, though. Like, how do you think that those opportunities came into your life? Like, what do you think you were doing at that point to, you know, be presented with these? Obviously, it was something you were doing in terms of your internship or the relationships you were building.
Both. But, I mean, again, a lot of people intern, but it's like who lasts and who doesn't. Nobody's going to outwork me. Like, and I don't mind doing the dirty work. And a piece of touring is a bit of dirty work. It's putting out fires and dirty work. So that's the thing. If you can't outwork me, and if you're not going to do the things that, if you feel like you're above something, then you're really not going to, like, you can't outdo me. So I think that's what it was. It was just being tenacious, as people would say.
Yeah.
And digging in and leaning into, you know, your inner self and the fire and the fight. No, that's really what it is. It was the relationships and just, you know, being willing to do things, willing to try things. And yeah, I've messed up during it, but yeah, I also just outwork people.
Tell me about that first tour, though. Like, what were some of the things you saw? Like, what was the best part of that experience for you, that initial European tour with Janelle?
I had never been to a festival.
Oh, really? What festival was?
Like a real, like, festival. I've been to, like, you know, like the things in the park where it's like a big stage and stuff, but like a real festival. I think the first day of tour might have been the Roskilde Festival, and I'm like, it's like 60,000 people.
That's crazy.
And overall, over the whole festival grounds, it's like 100,000 people. And they were telling us about Roskilde and how it becomes the third largest city in the country because of this one festival. Like, so many people flock to the city for the festival. It really changes the population for a weekend. And I'm like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So seeing that many people, seeing a stage that size, seeing a production that large, like, but you get thrown into the fire. Like, okay, first time being in Europe, first time seeing a festival, first time losing luggage on a plane. You're in a completely different country.
Sucks.
Let's go. And it's like, okay. And I think that's the best part of it. And seeing the world and understanding, I'm from a town with less than 10,000 people. Everybody knows everybody. To seeing the world and being across another side, like literally on the other side of the pond, as people say, like, it's an experience that people really, unless being clear, a lot of black men will probably never see. A lot of people, period, but especially black men being able to see the world and explore and understand what is around them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about like the the educated black man. I'm talking about like the general African American male doesn't get that experience,
Right.
and that's not something I take for granted. So that's the best part of it, like having that experience to see something that most people won't.
Right.
To be a part of something, feeling that energy of literally 60,000 people crowding around to see an amazing talent.
Let me ask you this: was this early on in her career, or like that you started working with both artists, or just Wondaland artists in general?
I started working with Janelle or interning right before Electric Lady.
Okay.
Yes. Archangel was already out and passed, and they'd done all that. And I think she was gearing up for Electric Lady. And Roman was doing a lot of the work on the front end and on those albums as a writer and a producer. And
Right.
just kind of getting into that system. They're really amazing creatives. Like,
Oh yeah, I'm familiar. I think my first experience was the 1 year celebration of Wonderland.
so
like,
I did the production on that. Like,
it was amazing. It was
So-
dope. It was like a really good experience. I was happy to be invited, and I was just getting my feet wet into the industry here too. So to see like just the work creatively that you guys put in is always a great sight to see. Just like the minor details to this partnerships and everything that comes into play, like with companies and everything. Like I'm sure as a manager and handling production, you have to have those types of relationships too to make like a really great or successful production.
yeah, and you'll find out who has it and who doesn't. Like, you'll earn your partners in the city, and and for example, Kenny here at Avatar in Atlanta, like he does the back line for Lollapalooza. So I saw him this summer over at Lollapalooza, or this past summer. It's like he's world renowned. Like that's what he does, but he's right here based in Atlanta.
Right.
But that relationship has been building, over the years, and I've got to grow and know him. Like, amazing guy. He does his things well. It's like you'll find out who your partners are, and you'll keep going back to it, and you'll build those relationships. So when you need something or you're in a pinch, somebody can come help you, because pinches will happen.
Definitely. Let's talk about the. You worked at Apache, which is like somewhere we still work with Apache.
Yeah.
We do a showcase there.
I'm fully hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you doing there? And like, was that like a first job, like something that could give you something stable there? Or
Yeah, it was stable. I was there full time, and what I did was the booking and the production management. So I got to see, I get these submissions, and being on the other side of it, like I said, I was managing artists in college or coming out of college, like, and I was trying to get my artists booked. But being on the other side of the receiving end on what you want to program into your space, like I can pull out old flyers. Like while I was there, I was like, I want to push hip hop and the youth in the city. So you'll see early on, like I had an Earth Gang show early. Like Sci-Hi was there early. And I'm talking about like in 2011, 2012. Ray Shrimmer, one of their early shows, I had them on the bill. Like Dreamer from Hollywood. It was. I'm trying to push that kind of culture. Like,
Right.
And of course the soul thing will always be there with Apache Cafe. So I was just trying to keep their legacy going of what they had in the city, but program new and fresh stuff and bring a different kind of crowd. Because you seeing other small venues pop up around that time, and it was like, how can I keep that energy here?
why was that experience like at a local level important for like what you're doing now on a global level?
To understand the culture, like to understand. It was good to understand how booking and production works from an internal perspective, but also understanding how to keep what the culture looks like in the city. Like Apache's a diverse place. They do art, they do music, so it was very important to have that scene, like to be a part of that scene, to be able to push that scene and understand what Atlanta is, how it's grown, understand the past, because Apache's been there for years. It's one of the longer running venues in the city.
Definitely.
So seeing what they do and how people gravitate towards that place and keeping that energy alive, it's like this is what it takes to have, to grow with the city, without sacrificing that soul that it has. So yeah, the IdOMUSIC showcases. The T.I. had a showcase there, his monthly thing. Yeah, everything that came through there, and I was there for about 1.5 years, 2 years.
That's what's up.
So, yeah.
I think wanted to ask too, just how has like working in Atlanta, like seeing artists from, like their birth, like you mentioned, a Earth Gang or a Sci-Hi, and just getting on the scene, like how has it been for you? Do you think you have like a knack for discovering talent or knowing when it's like that artist, like when you saw Earth Gang or Sci-Hi, did you know like they're gonna be okay?
Yeah. I wouldn't call it discovering because I don't think I found them, but I think,
Well, yeah.
knowing like what is and what ain't.
Because were you not selecting them to
Yeah,
perform?
so that's what I'm saying. But it was people were putting me on stuff. And
Gotcha.
like I said, I try to keep to the beat. But it's like I think not a knack for discovery. I'll never call it that. But knowing what's going to sustain and what's fleeting.
Yeah.
I do think I have a pretty decent ear.
So like I want to talk about too, like when we're listening to all the music that's coming out, a lot of things are trendy.
Of course.
Yeah. And in your opinion, do you think that it's important to stay on trend or above it?
Both. Like, I tell artists this. It's like, I know people who can rap their ass off, and I get it. But can you communicate? It's a difference between talking to people, talking for people, and talking over people. I think bar for bar, are there people better than Drake?
Absolutely.
But Drake is a better communicator than those people that may be able to rap circles around him. I can rap, not me personally, but there are rappers that can rap around Drake.
I was about to say, let me hear a few bars.
No. But he communicates clearly,
right?
Which makes him a bigger and better artist. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you do both. It's your talent at your skill level, but also don't forget what you're here for. And you're not making music for you to go listen to in a room like, damn, I snapped. I spazzed on this shit. Right. You're making music to share with people and to get people through things and to heal people, to bring people together, like from what you were going through. And if you're not communicating that clearly, what are you making it for?
That's true.
So I think you stay on trend, but you also, I think you grow with the culture. I mean, not call it stay on trend. You grow and understand what the culture is and how people are communicating, but you also keep your skill intact. Yeah, and I think Drake is a great example of balancing those two things.
Like being relatable and being able to resonate with people.
But also being talented.
That's true.
Like 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz can out-rap most people, but he's also relatable.
That's true.
And he's stayed relatable. The man's 40.
That's facts.
And what do you mean? He can still top the charts at any time he wants to. He's one of the best feature artists ever.
Yeah.
But he can still rap his ass off. That's the balance you have to have.
That's true. You've worked in several areas in the even outside of the music industry. Even I think your community involvement, obviously with like the Boys and Girls Club. I noticed that you've somehow fused your love for music into pretty much anything that you've done or any of the roles you've taken on. It seems to be like pretty not strategic, but like well thought out. Like you want to incorporate music into what you're doing.
Yes.
So talk about a bit about the work that you did with the Boys and Girls Club, and I'll let you just start there in Atlanta. You worked with the Boys and Girls Club.
I was with the Boys and Girls Club. The Woodruff Center for the Arts had a grant program that was out, and essentially they were trying to figure out ways to bring music to the community. So one of the partners that they had at the time, I connected with her, and was like, hey, let's put this at this club and let's make it make sense so that, because you're working with African American youth mostly, and the only thing they may know about the music industry is what they see on TV.
Right.
This is a rapper. This is a singer. This is a dancer. That's it. But exposing, and I wish that I had the same kind of exposure when I was a kid.
Yeah.
To be able to see there are hundreds and thousands of jobs in the industry. And there are hundreds and thousands of things that you can do, and everything is not the same. Like, there's a job for everything. So there are instruments that you hear and you may not understand what that is. Let's be exposed to that.
Right.
There are jobs and positions in the industry. Let's be exposed to that. Like, beyond just singing, like, at church, like, what other avenues are there for you to use your skills? How can you grow your skills? It was mostly about exposing African-American youth to music outside of the popular culture lane. Besides the hottest song on the radio, like, how did that hot song get on the radio? What would this? Let's take some steps back, and the older kids. We were talking about career paths with the younger children. We were exposing them to new instruments, and children were allowed for a half a year to a year to take music lessons outside the school system. So if the school system's arts programs are dying inside the schools, literally, but here's a place where you could take lessons, you could rent instruments through this grant after school and get the kind of training that you want and be exposed to.
Right.
So,
which I think is so sad that the music programs are like slowly dying throughout like the school systems, because that was a very important part of my upbringing. And like, I mean, outside
what do
of
you
just
play?
clarinet, I started clarinet and then mellophone and marching band.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I played French horn in like concert band. But
did you play mellophone at Howard?
No, for a day.
For a day? Why'd you quit? Or why wasn't it for you?
Yeah, because I don't want to call it quitting, but essentially I did. I just didn't, and it's no shade to the program. They're very good program, just not what I'm accustomed to coming from Atlanta and from Southern band programs, working with like people who came from FAM, Southern, like.
Where'd you go to school at in Atlanta?
Mays High School, Southwest Atlanta. Shout out. Yeah.
What year did you come out?
2011.
Okay.
No, it's cool. I don't mind.
2011. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyways,
sorry, this isn't about you. My bad.
It's not about me. It's about you. But I'm gonna answer your questions. And for those that have been listening to me, they don't really know my background. But
let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Okay.
What does that mean about me? Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Okay.
I mean, it's just just people get to know you. Like
that's true. No, back to Howard's program. I stayed for a day because we were in sectionals for about 5 to 6 hours, and I knew the music already, and I felt like we as a section weren't improving, and I could just see that it wasn't. I guess I just had a revelation in that moment, like, is this what I really want to do?
With your college
with
time.
my college experience. And I was an athlete in high school and stuff too. I played soccer for a long part of my life, about 10, 11 years. I was performing and doing music and shows and everything for about the same amount of time. So very dedicated, and I felt like if I was going to give that much time, I should be getting something out of that experience. And dealing with HBCUs in terms of money, like it was just like, is it really worth it for the next 4 years of my life? Because if I do this, I'm going to do it.
Right.
So it wasn't for me, because I'm like, I know this music literally in the first 30 minutes, and like I just didn't feel like, I didn't feel like it was excelling
or growing,
and I don't feel like I was gonna grow from that. So I decided to opt out of it, but I discovered a lot of other cool things about what you could do in college and how you could network and everything.
How did you stay connected to the arts in college?
Music. I mean, I got like you, similar to you. I started more so in like party promotion and things like that. But radio, artists. I was just, I don't know. Music. If you love music, you'll find a way. It's not gonna ever leave you.
Okay.
But back to you. But that is important to know too. Like, the opportunities in music don't just span between, like, I grew up with a foundation, and like my older sister went to Clark. She did music performance and is now a music educator. So I value all of those things. Like, I think they're really important in terms of like, even for children learning discipline, and because to learn an instrument and to say that you want to learn an instrument is difficult in itself, but I think it's important for just the growth and using both sides of your brain. Like, you don't get that.
Sure.
So thank you for your involvement in the community and what you were doing with the Boys and Girls Club. I think that was the dopest part of what I learned about you so far.
Well, thank you.
I want to ask you too, like, let's get into the fun stuff, or maybe not so fun stuff, because I don't know. That's for you to tell us. Working with Wondaland's management, what is your role, and why management? Like, I manage an artist as well, but like it wasn't something that I was like, oh, I want to manage an artist for me. But for you, like, why management, and what's your role behind like Wondaland?
I like seeing people with good art win. And I think management, like I said, is you're an assistant. It's a glorified assistantship to help an artist win.
And when you say helping artists win,
it's getting their music to the people that need it.
True.
And I read something, the Quincy article that came out. He has a lot of shade in there, but he said something when I think when you talk about money or when you bring money to the room, God leaves.
Yeah.
And I've seen the artists that I work with have God in their music, and it's like the people need that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it to the people that need it. It's going to provide a good time. It's going to allow people to move, allow people to dance, allow people to reconnect with their roots, allow them to go to places to feel things that they may not. For example, I work with Jadena, and Jadena is a very multicultural man. His father's Nigerian. His mother's from here in America. He's lived all over the country and the world, and he puts that in his music. He provides people that experience to be or think greater and outside of what your current situation or place is. He allows you to go places to the music and connect the dots. Like Classic Man was a song that was for everybody, but it connected dots where you listen to the rest of his music and you can understand why he feels that way about himself. And it's just exposure. It's like it makes you want to go try and do and see more.
That's true.
And, so managing is because artists, they want to create. And I think you create a space for them to create and allow them to share that art that they've created with the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're the through line between that. And however you can help that situation, it's different levels of it, whether it's brand partnerships or through touring and promotions or content creation. There's so many small things underneath that help get that music from one place to another. How do you move that vehicle?
Right.
And that's what management is. It's the vehicle for the music.
That's true. Talk a little bit about like juggling. Like you're balancing a lot of different things when you're a manager.
I'm young.
You're young. You're like you can do it.
I don't have no choice. Like it's either this or go work corporate. And there's no shade against corporate, but it's like that's not for me.
So what's your day-to-day like? I know it changes, but like average a day for you, what does it consist of? What do you enjoy doing or what do you think is necessary for you to do when you first wake up and then before you go to sleep?
I'm trying to get my life together right now. So I've been in the gym.
Okay, you were working on your fitness?
It was rough. Like I went through a semi-depressed state and I was like, oh, gosh. And I got up like, I was heavy. I was super heavy. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's stop. Let's add the gym to your regular day. Like, let's add a devotional to your day too. Like, let's get you back on track. Like,
yeah.
Let's make your grandma proud. So
yes,
cool.
Grandma.
So I think that's what's been added to my day. Like going through, reflecting on what it is. I try to make a to-do list every morning or see what was left off or what I didn't finish.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you ever finish your to-do list, then you're doing something wrong. There should always be something to do. Like always. So I don't think I ever check all the bubbles off my to-do list ever because I need something to go into the next day with. Like if I run out of shit to do, then I'm on vacation.
Right.
And there's not time for vacation. There are projects that need to go out, people that need to be reached, things that need to be done.
That's true. That's very true. I think sometimes we miss the ball on that. Sometimes you're like, I could, you can sleep when you're gone.
And I think sleep is important too. I'm not saying, don't sleep. I'm not saying that. I'm saying with the hours that you are awake, even if you get a full 8 hours.
Make it happen.
You got of sleep. You have 16 hours left. What are you doing with those?
That's true.
And that's what I ask people is like, what are you doing with your time? It's 168 hours in a week. What are you doing with that?
Let me ask you too. You said that you basically have like a to-do list. Do you find it valuable to like write things down, or how do you keep up with what's going on and what you have? I mean, obviously we use things like Google Calendar. Those.
Yeah,
things,
I have a notebook, but I use my notes on my phone. I like the notes section because in iCloud you can make a checklist and a to-do list. Make a lot of notes. I have lots of handwritten notes. It feels real to me. And Slack. I've been on Slack.
When I used to write for St. Heron, we used that. So
Slack is the bee's knees.
Yeah. Can you tell them what that is? And what?
Slack is a
like you sponsored.
It is an application where it allows you to break your communication down into channels or different topics so that you can work on several projects and stay abreast on what's going on in the progress of those projects at the same time, all in one place. So it's like if GroupMe was broken down into different, like...
If GroupMe were professional.
Yeah,
really.
it's a professional GroupMe.
Yeah.
And it's broken down into different channels that allow you to keep track and stay abreast, and you can peek in and peek out and see what's going on. So you're not missing anything. And there's so much integration. You can pull in whole emails. You can pull in calendars. You can pull in documents. It's like a one-stop shop for all your communication with the team.
Yeah, I think it's a great app, actually. It was very helpful in terms of like editorial space, anything. So yeah, Slack, definitely. What skills, you mentioned this already a little bit. You said one, being patient. What skills do you find necessary to be a successful manager or to be a successful tour manager even?
Communication. Ownership of fault. And then ownership of faults that aren't yours as well.
True. That means you take...
When it comes to being on the road, it's never the artist's fault. Ever.
It sounds like you had to learn that, or...
Yeah, that was one of the first things I learned. I learned that early on.
Yeah.
It's never the artist's fault.
Do you remember that experience? Where you learned
it's
that?
not the artist's fault, so I don't remember it. It's my fault. But yeah, I learned that early. It's you. And then even your own mistakes, it's like you have to be very honest and transparent with your team and with the people around you about what has happened so they're not surprised.
Yeah.
So communication, transparency, patience, energy management. Yeah, because you're dealing with a lot of people who, like I said, the creatives, and they like their things a certain way. And you have to help manage energy. Like, don't bring stress to that situation.
Right.
Nobody wants to listen to stressful music. What does stressful art sound like?
I don't know.
Not good.
Rock? No? Heavy metal?
No.
That sounds stressful. Looks like nah. Yeah, I agree though completely. I wanted to ask you too to take us to like the most memorable experience on tour. You've obviously traveled a lot. You were just out of town, and you have probably seen a lot of things. But I'm sure there's been like this one experience, or maybe a few, that you can pinpoint while on tour.
I met Marshawn Lynch with a bag of Skittles recently.
What?
And
with a bag of Skittles?
No, he eats them. Like, I thought it was like a joke, but he eats them. Like, that's his thing. That's his snack. And I was like, okay.
Where'd you meet Marshawn Lynch?
I was on the road with Rhapsody.
Great artist.
Amazing artist. And one of the artists on the Jamla imprint that she's on is GQ. GQ is from Oakland.
Okay.
So we were doing a show in Oakland at New Parish, and one of my artists was also on the road with Rhapsody. Deante Hitchcock was opening up for her. The guys on Deante's team, one of the guys that was on the road with him, he called me and said, we're at the back door. I go to the back door, and none of the people that called me were there. There's a tall dude. A tall dude steps out the way and steps beside me, and I'm like, I was about to stop him, but then the next person was Marshawn Lynch. And Marshawn Lynch was standing there eating a bag of Skittles like, you gonna stop me? I'm like, nah, nigga. So Marshawn Lynch came in with a bag. I spoke with him later in that evening, but it was like, I'm a big Marshawn Lynch fan.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I don't be fanboying out like all the time like that. But there's a few people in the world like Brandy. I'm a Brandy fan.
I'm a Brandy fan.
Right.
That was that voice.
And I definitely fanboyed
You did.
when I met Brandy. Memorable experiences. I had the pleasure to see the world, to see Africa. Nigeria is an amazing place. Thank you, Jadena, for even exposing me there and trusting me with your trips and your shows there. It's an amazing place, and you feel a connection with your people in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
South Africa is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it's not that expensive for as beautiful as it is. But yeah, just being on the continent in Africa and seeing the world in that kind of space. Like, I don't know, this is a podcast. You can't like hold up pictures and in between. You
well,
know,
we're recording too. Yeah. We're on YouTube.
Okay, I'm gonna put little pictures that you just show. And no, it's just experiencing the world, seeing other people's cultures, but seeing how close it is. Like, I understood being in Nigeria. I understood why Black people flex.
Why?
It's literally in the culture.
Oh,
it's
it's the
like
culture.
it literally it's like it's embedded in you.
Really? I thought
Like,
that's something that we.
nah.
I mean, because like when you think about it, or when people talk about like chains and like the comparison of chains and shackles, right?
Yeah.
That whole flex
Nah.
thing, like that's where
No.
what I get from it.
Black people been stunting because we had it. So
That's
the
true.
chains and the shackles is like it's different when you're a slave to you say we're a slave to capitalism and X, Y, and Z. But when you come from gold and come
Right.
from like the actual continent, it's literally
There.
you share it and show it, and it's like it's flash. It's a part of your grandeur. Like African Americans have this grandeur. They carry themselves a certain way because it's embedded in them.
That's true.
So I have my qualms about capitalism in the world and the disparity between the rich and the poor. I do, but I also understand flexing. I understand like it's literally embedded in like your core.
That's kind of I that makes sense now when you think about like where gold, like where all of that comes from.
The same way we have rhythm a certain way, it comes from it's embedded in us. Flexing is embedded in us.
Dang.
And this is
Hit
what
him
I
with that flex then.
got to. I don't got it. But
One day.
one day. I'm still not gonna flex though. I drive a Volkswagen.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Volkswagen.
I be swerving in my Kia, so I don't
That's
care.
it. You chilling.
Listen, so how did the big fantastic touring company come about? That's like
That's my thing.
Your
That's my brainchild. That's my baby right now.
baby.
I've always been a big guy, like tall, 6'4", and heavy. Not as heavy. But
No, we
still
working
heavy.
on it. We in the
We're
gym.
working on it. He's not done with me yet.
Amen.
Amen. So, the big fantastic touring company. I wanted to make touring an enjoyable experience, and the big fantastic was a nickname given to me by Janelle's stage manager, who is also a great actor, a Morehouse alum as well. Like he's the man. But George 2.0, he was like, "Yeah, the big fantastic." I was like, "Wow, I love that." So, yeah, that's the name of my company, the big fantastic. I try to use like really positive words like fantastic or fucking fantastic or
So positive.
goddamn amazing,
Yeah.
things like that. So
And this is a concert and event production company.
is.
It's what you, it's your company. It's
Yeah.
what you do your shows under, pretty much. So, what's your favorite part about working in live entertainment? Because like I really enjoy live entertainment concert experiences. I just recently saw Tyler, the creator, and Lana Del Rey. Before that, like I frequent shows, so to see like what they put into like the lights, the stage, the dancers, everything that goes into a show, I think is important. And people pay a lot of money to see artists, so they should get that experience, right? What's your favorite part about working in the live entertainment business?
Seeing that experience from top to bottom. So you're a tour manager or production manager, you oversee every little thing that you named. Seeing that from inception to end. Seeing what it takes or overseeing what it takes for people to come enjoy themselves or be healed. Like you provide people don't naturally want to be alone. I don't care. People be like, I need my space. I'm anti, which is true. That's a momentarily thing. But people don't really want to be alone.
Right.
When you go to a concert, it's sometimes a spiritual experience. Like you're experiencing this same healing moment together with somebody else. What does it take to create that healing moment? And then backtrack the steps. What does it take to get to that point? And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. It's getting it from creation to the healing moment to the end and doing it all over again. That's the magic that nobody sees.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just come experience like that hour and a half concert, not knowing that it took 12 to 14 hours to build.
Exactly. Have you faced any difficulties while working these shows? I'm sure that you may have.
Of course.
And let's talk about how you overcame them, like in those moments. Like you talked about not burning fires. What? Putting out fires. Like, what were challenges where you? Can you think about a moment that you were like, dang, this happened right before the show or whatever, and you had to go and overcome that?
Literally, my first real tour, people lost their luggage. So
Oh, you did say
you're
that.
coming into Europe, and and things like that happen all the time. You got clothing that's ripped, or riders that aren't correct, or you're missing the microphone, or you lose somebody at the venue that you need just goes off to lunch, and you're like, or dinner, and they just disappear, and it's like, hey, we have a show to do, and we have doors to open, and we have to there's so many little small things that you literally have to put out that fire, and the goal is to not let it get to the artist. So it's almost like a game of hot potato and keep away. Like, hey, we need to get this fixed because, yeah, we got a lot of work to do. Again, and it all looks magical. So you're putting out fires and you're changing things day to day to make it all work and all look like magic. Like everything that happens, whether you have to order something from a certain city or somebody left something in this city and you either have to get it shipped, but you also have to find a replacement in that city, or somebody is sick and dying and they probably shouldn't be on the stage, but you have to nurse them back to health. It's a real, like, I always tell people I was raised by women, so I have like a caring quality that I don't know if all men have. And I think they have the ability to have it, but I think it's just embedded in me where it's like, I can do both.
Yeah.
Like, I can go work on your car and I can also sew a hole in a sock. And that's some random skills to have, but I think being on the road and putting out those fires, as I like to say, it's pertinent to have a broad skill set of and just understanding how to deal with people. Like, people are going to get sick. People are going to argue. People are going to fight. Stuff is going to go missing. Stuff is going to break. People's pants are going to rip. Shit's going to get dirty. And it's all on you to fix. Because you can't hide it on the road, because guess what? You have another show to do. And the problem doesn't go away. At home, if something happens to your car here, like, it's like, I don't know, I can Uber and I can take Marta. You got options. On the road, if something happens to your bus, you don't got options. You either go get that bus fixed or you call somebody to bring you a new bus because you have to be in the city by,
certain time, yeah.
And you have to lay out those options for management and just being able to adapt on the fly.
Yeah.
Without fucking nobody bread up.
Say that. Don't nobody want no money problems.
Right.
So you've had the opportunity to work with several artists. We talked about Janelle Monáe, Jadena, Roman,
Saint Beauty.
Saint Beauty, I love them.
They're amazing.
Yeah,
They're amazing.
great girls.
Just did the rundown with Robin Thede in New York. That was dope.
Yeah. I saw them, I think I saw one of them next to Offset and
Both
Cardi.
of them, they were sitting next to Offset
when
and
he
Cardi
sparked
at one of the shows.
in New York Fashion Week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the video's gone viral of him like sparking in the show, so I thought that was funny. But anyways, you've worked with several people though in general, just like the relationships you formed or forged over the years with like Apache to Boys and Girls Club and Woodruff to Wondaland. I wanted to ask you, like, are there any key people in those moments that have helped or mentored you to be where you are? We talked a little bit about that off the record.
Jeff Coran, Mikkel Moore, George 2.0, Mitchell Martin. Janelle Monáe.
You are so silly, bro. So, like, what is it that these people have done, or like, how have they played a part in your growth as a?
They gave me the space to fuck up. No, they trusted me with the task and they allowed me to grow and be a part of what they had going on. Like, Mitch was like one of my early mentors. Jeff is Janelle's touring production manager, so he brought me on early on and allowed me to grow under him so I could be able to even fathom starting a touring company. Mm-hmm. Like, George, who also works with Janelle, he's like a spiritual brother, older brother, partner. Like, he's a great example of, how to grow in the entertainment industry, but also stay connected to, to make your grandma proud.
Right.
We'll call it that.
Right.
Mikkel, who owns Wondaland Management, is a genius. Like, he's smart. He's tenacious. Kelly Andrews, also with Wondaland Management, she handles Janelle directly. Like, phenomenal. Like, again, when I make a mistake or when they've given me the space to learn, the space to grow, and the confidence to do both. Mm-hmm. And you need people like that around you who are open to sharing without feeling threatened. A lot of people won't even have conversations like this because they're afraid of competition. It's like, and I feel like this about the industry. I feel like this about my job. And I feel like this about a relationship I'm in. If you can get it, you can have it. If you can take it from me, you can have it. So I don't mind sharing ideas or anything. I'm going to get new ones.
Right.
I believe wholeheartedly that if I share an idea or I say something out loud, I'm going to be blessed with a new one. Like, it's not that. I don't take it for granted, but it's like I believe in favor, and I believe to be favored, you have to believe in favor. Like,
absolutely.
So
that's a word.
I'm not going to preach today.
I don't mind.
I'm not going to preach
So
today.
what are you currently working on, or who are you currently working with? I know you mentioned Rhapsody. It's just like for those that don't know, has a great album out right now.
Amazing album. Rapping circles around niggas. She's a motherfucking beast. I can say that. And Ninth Wonder, like, he's trusted me with the same kind of thing as, like, we're going on the road in a couple of weeks. Deante Hitchcock. I don't know if you're hip, but I managed Deante Hitchcock. Bars and bars and bars on top of bars.
He started, just the social media, just putting out freestyles. That's how I found him.
And he got bars.
Yeah.
And we got to show the world he got bars and do some amazing stuff this year.
Dope. So, where do you see yourself in the grand scheme of, like, music within the next, let's say, 5 years? I hate that question, but, like, let's just say it. Where do you see yourself? Like, what do you see your company, the Big Fantastic touring company? Where do you see that going? Where do you see yourself growing? Whether it be personal or business, like, what do you see?
I see the Big Fantastic allowing other young professionals opportunities to see the U.S. and see the world and put out fires for different artists across all genres over the next 5 years and growing that roster to some of the great musicians that you see around and have. I see the artists that I work with growing beyond where they are now, just growing and becoming household names, not just in Black households, but households, period. People need and understand their music. I want Deante to be listed with the Atlanta rappers that you think of when you say the great rappers from Atlanta, but not just that, but also the rappers who have a chokehold on the game. Like, in 5 years, like, Kendrick and J. Cole, it's like I want that kind of acclaim for him.
Definitely.
I also see a powerhouse of records where I just want to be putting out records with different people and different writers that I've been working with over the years. Just bringing projects and good art to life and giving it a life and space to breathe. So whether that be for artists on the road, whether that be for artists in the studio, whether that be for artists in the streets, just keeping art and music alive and allowing it to grow and flourish.
I think to everything that you just said, the most important thing I got from that is that everything involves helping someone else. I think that shows a lot about who you are as a person, but also just like what you want to give, outside of what you're receiving. Do you think that's important characteristic for who you are? Do you think that that's like an important characteristic for anybody who's, especially someone in like management? I think that's ideally what you're doing is giving and trying to help someone else.
For management, it's not about the manager. Like, the more you help your artist, you'll be seen. So the more you help your artist, the more you'll help yourself. But you only eat what you kill. So it goes back to that. It's like, if you're not helping the artist or helping the artist grow or develop, what are we talking about? Why are you here? And that goes for anybody around me, anybody that works with me. It's like, if you're not growing the artist that you say you're working with, if you're doing it for yourself, then go be the artist.
That's true.
If not, then what are you doing here? What are we talking about? And that's real. Like,
what are we talking about? I see you travel a lot. We talked about that too. Just how is it balancing your work and your personal life? Is there a balance?
I have a child.
Okay.
And I have the mother of my child and her family are one of the greatest support systems ever. Period. I mean, because I have a weird job. It's weird. People aren't used to being away from home for like half the year at least. I think on the last year I was at home for a total of like 120 days or something like that.
Wow.
So people aren't used to that.
Yeah.
So their support and understanding is phenomenal. And the woman who I date, she's also a traveler. So
It works.
things are just falling in place.
It works.
Things are okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that, or happy to hear that. Does the road ever get tiring, though?
Of course.
Like, exhausting.
Yeah, but being at home gets exhausting too.
Are you like a just like road runner? You like to be on the move?
I think there's a sense of wanderlust in me where I like seeing other places. I think but like I said, you can get exhausted here, or you get exhausted in Europe. And that's your pick. You can get exhausted here and sit still, or you can get exhausted around the U.S. And I'd rather get exhausted in a different city every day than at home.
That's true.
And I know it's a random fucked up way to put it, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, monotony is like, I can't do that.
So tell me one of the most important things you've learned working in the music business over the years, and like what advice you would give someone who is interested in being where you are right now in tour management or just managing artists.
It's not who you know, it's who knows you. And
you have this like radio voice, and I don't know where it's coming from.
It's always here.
It's always here.
Mm-hmm. But really, it's people be like, I know this person, but do they know you?
Mm-hmm.
And if they do know you, what do they know about you? Or what do they know you for? So I think your reputation will precede you. And if you don't have one, that'll also be known because you're not known. So I think, like you said, it was hard to find out things about me. It's like, that's cool, but ask the people that I work with, and the answer will remain the same. Like, he does his job. So I think I don't have to flex and stunt and be like every picture and I don't. Yeah, I think it's not who you know, but who knows you, and what are you doing? And I think there's a difference between being used and being misused. And a lot of people be like, I don't want to be used. It's like, well, then you're not useful.
Right. That's true. Facts.
Like, people don't, like, I've heard somebody, I don't want to get used like that. What do you want to be used for? What are you useful for if you don't want to be used? In any industry, in any field, you're going to be used. And you want to be useful to people or to who you're working with. And if you're not useful, then you don't stay there. Or you're not you're not at the top of your game. If you're not useful, then what are we talking about?
Wow.
So be useful, not misused. Don't let people mistreat you, but be useful.
Good advice. Very good advice. Any lasting words for those that are listening out there, like any friends, family?
If you made it to the end of the podcast, hey, everything's going to be a good time over the next few years. Like, everything's going to be great. Yeah. It's going to be a really good time. You should get Slack, especially if you want to stay organized. Shout out to Slack. Also, this podcast is brought to you by Essentia.
Delicious water.
Delicious, high alkaline water. I need to book some studio time here. I want to do a listening here tomorrow. Ooh. I know that's really random, but
no, it's not random. We are always welcome to talking business.
Yeah, let's go do that after this.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have a credit card, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you for sitting down with me.
Thank you, Sammy.
And shout out to Drea. Everything is Drea.
Everything is Drea.
She
got abs. Drea abs have inspired me. They disrespected me on the gram the other day, and I was like, wow, I really got to get my life together. So shout out to Drea's abs.
Shout out to Drea's abs. Shout out to Drea for introducing us and making that connection. I'm very happy that I was able to sit down with the first tour manager on the podcast and getting a different perspective for what you do. Tell them where they can find you on Instagram or social media. You can
find me on social media at TopherPat. It's the end of my first name and the beginning of my last name. So it's TOPHERPATT. And also my website is topherpat.com. So everything is just TopherPat. And don't follow me on Twitter. I say bad things there.
Yo. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you guys for listening to the IdOMUSIC podcast. As always, you can find me at Sammy Approved on all social media platforms, as well as the IdOMUSIC podcast, IDM podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Fantastic.
Sonically superior.